We don't look at airport as a business unit, right? It's a corporate entity after all. And if 100 rupees was what you were earning, can you help us get a sense how much is coming from where? So one, cargo and passenger split, and what is coming from there, and what are the other sources of revenue that you earn?
Before we go into numbers and breaking that down, I just want to give a context of how the airport is run.
Sure.
So, as the airport operator, our job is to manage this 4,000-acre campus, to develop it, and the core mandate being to develop the core aviation infrastructure. That's the main mandate. Develop the core aviation infrastructure. And the core aviation infrastructure should provide capacity for airlines to grow their business and for all the other entities to provide great service to airlines and to passengers. And then, of course, in that context, we find opportunities to maximize our revenues through other means like retail, food and beverage, and so on and so forth. And in the 4,000 acres campus, everything from the road networks, the utilities, the IT infrastructure, everything is owned and managed by us.
Oh.
Right? So there are little revenue streams at various places. All that sort of gets aggregated when it comes to our revenue. The core part of it, which means running the terminal building and managing the terminal buildings, building and managing the runway, the aeronautical assets, all of that is always managed by us. But in many of the areas, we partner with global leaders. Like, for example, cargo. We don't do the cargo business ourselves. We have two cargo operators, WFS and Menzies. These are two global companies.
WFS and?
Menzies Aviation UK.
Okay.
And WFS. These are two of the biggest cargo operators in the world, logistics companies in the world. They do our cargo concessions, right? Similarly, for providing aircraft fuel, we've got Sky Tanking in partnership with Indian Oil. They come and provide us that service. So in many of these areas, what we get is a revenue share from them.
Okay.
Right? So, and similarly with retail, food and beverage, we earn a revenue share. We don't do the business ourselves. So what I speak about as a, when I split my revenues up, I don't speak of it from a top line revenue standpoint because that can be misleading. I speak of it in terms of what we earn out of that.
Okay.
Okay. So if you look at 100 rupees of revenue that we earn, at a broad level, 65% of it is aeronautical revenue.
Okay.
And 35% is non-aeronautical revenue.
Which is retail, etc., etc. Okay.
So 65% of the aeronautical revenue comes from broadly three buckets. Again, there are several line items. I'm not going to go to break it down into beyond a certain level. Mota. Out of that 65% aeronautical revenue, 54 to 55% comes from UDF. You know, the passenger fee that you pay, anywhere between 350, 500 rupees that you pay on your ticket.
55%, huh?
55% of that revenue is UDF.
Okay.
Then about 28 to 30% comes from landing, parking and housing charges. So 55% comes from air passenger charges.
Yeah.
About 28% comes from aircraft charges, charging the airline for operating the aircraft. Landing, for every landing we charge, then parking or housing the aircraft. That is 28% from that. 18% comes from all the concession fees that we earn from aviation service providers.
Okay.
Ground handlers, cargo handlers, into plane fueling, then in-flight catering. All of those revenues come into that aviation concessions. So that's about 18%. All of this put together bring 65% of our revenues. 35% of our revenues comes from all the revenue shares that we get from retail, duty-free,
and all
food
retail
and
is on
beverage.
Revenue share basis.
All of them.
Okay.
Right? Retail, duty-free, food and beverage, advertising, parking, lounges, day hotel, meet and assist services, and so on and so forth. We always work with partners and they pay us rentals, office rentals, all of that comes into this. That's about 35% of the revenue.
And all these 50,000 people that you have?
No, not 50,000. That's misleading. 38,000 is what the campus employs.
Okay.
So again, if you were to broadly break that up, BIAL itself, since it controls the core infrastructure, has only about 1,600 employees.
Oh, okay.
Our direct employees.
Got it.
Then we outsource many of the functions we are supposed to do. So for example, the housekeeping of the terminal. We employ contractors. security of our offices, we employ contractors. Parking management, we employ contractors. Trolley pushing, we employ
It's a third party.
about 6,000 people in direct contract, right? Through direct contracts of BIAL. Then is all the partners, customers, airlines, concessionaires, vendors, all of that put together adds up to the 35,000.
Got it.
For stories like this, keep following us. From Code to Culture, our podcast. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media.